Welcome. On this channel, I do unscripted, unedited videos about Linux programming and stuff. If you're new to the channel, check out video 1. It explains the channel's format. Check out video 23. It explains the current project. And I am going to jump back in where I left off. Working on the tests. Currently, okay, so let me rephrase this, or phrase it at all. So we have make test. So I am trying to add the testing framework into the project. The testing framework that I'm using is the Unity C testing framework. And so far I have managed to kind of wedge it in here. And what I have is in the, oops, clearly I don't want the whole thing. I want just test. What I have in the test folder is a test per module. So currently in the game there is a config, a state, a network, and a game module, and so there is a test file for each of those. I have a main.c that is pulling them all in and running all the tests together. That is not what I want. Rather, what I want is I want each one of those modules to produce its own executable, and then to be able to run them individually, and also have a make target that will run all of the tests together, run all of the separate executables together. It just fits better in my head. It lets me run one specific target when I want to. That seems to work better with the way the testing framework is set up, as far as I can see. So the thing to do here is this video is primarily going to be about reworking the makefile to accomplish that. I think. We'll see where we go. It's always, nothing's for sure. It's wherever we end up. So currently in the makefile, so here in the previous video, I was just talking about what I wanted the various targets to do. And I still want the tests, I want to have a target called tests, which builds all of these various files. Now, I'm probably going to stumble around on this because my make skills are not great, but it shouldn't be too bad because everything is in a single file. So if we go look, you guys can't see that easily, but if I, so again, if I'm looking over here, config tests becomes literally just becomes config tests as an output binary. Now to do this, what I want to do is I'm going to have to get rid of main.c. Let's kind of do it at the command line first. So let's get rid of that. Let's open tests main and split this, and let's open, let's do config first. That was the first one I did before, so test config. Now the change that we're going to end up with here is to, I'm clearly going to have to bring in the Unity tests. I don't need these other pieces. I'm going to need those defined, and I am going to need main defined. I'm going to need the tests, so I need, and let's rearrange this a little bit. Yeah, actually, since they're empty, let's put them on a single line for now, and we'll define them right above main, and then so all the tests are defined here, and that will, and the only actual external requirement is the Unity test frame, the header files, or the Unity test code, and then the actual unit under test. And so that's what every test will end up looking like. So let's get rid of main. We no longer need it. And then we can open up all of those files that are here. That is not what I wanted to do. Oh, I did delete the right one. I just opened the wrong one after that. So test, so let's take a look at this. Vim test main is gone, but I want to open all of the test C files. And the first one it gives me here is config tests, and I actually have to update that one, right? So it only needs to run the tests for config foo. Okay, now let's go to the next one, which is game tests. Again, cleaning this one up. I mean, these are individual compilation units now, so I am going to, so this one will end up running, it will have to both define game foo, test game foo, and run game test foo. So instead of config, it's game, and instead of that, it's game, and instead of that, it's game. I believe that is all the bits. Looks like it. Yes, looks like it. Going to the next one. We're going to do almost the exact same thing. But instead of config, it'll be network. It'll be network. Oops. It'll be network. Oh, I might have missed this in the previous. And I don't think I did. So config does config. Game does game. Network does network. And the next one is state. And copy that and remake it for state. So, oops. Okay. That all appears correct. And so now what I should be able to do, let's take a, let's just make this way. This will give me what I want. So if I do cc-o bin config tests, and the only thing, do I need to do anything other than test config tests? It doesn't appear so. Okay. And the same should be true for all of them. So if I do state tests, I mean, this was the goal. Bin, so if I, okay. Let's do it this way. Unknown type file. That's interesting. So Vim source. So this is state. Vim, did I? vim test state, and well, the first thing I notice is that I failed to let's test config and pull in Unity and then rerun that and test stage foo. So state tests on line 17. Oh yeah, typo. So is there only the one occurrence, I think? Yep. So if I look under bin, I should have state tests. Bin state tests, they don't fail. And if I come back and cc-o bin game tests, game tests, and that's under tests game, we have a bunch of problems, but it's going to be the same thing. So vim test game, and I might as well fix network because it's going to have the same issue. I copy pasted them all the same. Well, not that one. So game has it. So let's get rid of that for a second and include vendor Unity .h, right? Okay, but let's so we're working on game tests .c. Clear. Error unknown type bool in game tests C on line 3. Vim test game test line 3. Oops, none of these. I'm going to do a split, and I think source. Oh no, I'm in that directory. So source game C. So one of the first things that happens here is that I load bool source game H, but I use it first. So does that mean that what I would actually want to do? So that's the test. That's game C. That's game H. Do I really want to include these here? The standard stuff, and then only things that I define for myself are here. Unknown type name state in game loop on line 10. Okay, that makes sense. And then in the test, I would have to So one of the reasons for using that unified kind of build thing and not having the tree of includes is you have real simple, straightforward view into what's being loaded when. It's always in one place. But here, this is slowly pulling me back the other way because I want to do it for each test. When it comes to my own projects files, so I don't mind it with the standard library stuff. But when it comes back to my own projects files, I quickly could end up in like circular logic here. I'm just thinking this through. So I'm half of the opinion of just always doing this kind of unified build and just putting up with the fact that whenever I add something for a ugh, I'm just torn, right? So I mean, it's have game C. I mean, ideally, game C is just including everything that game C needs. But already then, now when something pulls this in, it automatically needs. So pull in everything it needs. My brain is in a loop. I don't know which way I really want to do it. Should game H include everything that game C needs? That seems like the logical way to do it. It seems like what I want to do is literally short circuit everything else. So and say if not def, I don't normally see this though. And I'm wondering why not. Because it just makes sense that or is the normal way to do it. So then here I'm pulling in game H. I have everything required for game C. The same would be true then, right? If I go look at source main, I'm pulling in game H. I have everything I need later for game C. Main's happy. But what we're missing now is just state. Now, this is kind of the circular part of this is just part of this, the circular part of this, but I mean, obviously, But I don't really want to have to pull in state to be able to test game. So bin game test, no directory. So I'm first just gonna, okay, so here's the decision I'm making right now. I want to focus on the make process, the build process. I don't really want to dive so extraordinarily deep into how I'm structuring these header files. So I'm just going to let this be this way it works, and then not worry about the fact that I am bringing in multiple modules into the tests. I think the answer probably for the testing is literally that I just want to stub those out, the extra definitions that are needed, and so that each of the individual tests is isolated. But in other words, I just wouldn't include these, but I would define a state struct to be used during the tests that is specific to the tests. I think that's what I'll do. I don't know, but it's also kind of flimsy, because then every single time potentially there's drift between what's going on in the like in the game test versus the rest of the code. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. It's not the thing to focus. The thing to focus on right now is the fact that I want to be able to have all four of these building so that I can get the makefile to run all of them. So there is network tests. User LD in function undefined reference to state test network. So I never cleaned up the well, here's network foo, network tests. What was it? So let's take a look at one of the others. Test config. Include unity.h. Undefined reference to unity assert equal number. Did I actually want unity.c? I did want unity.c, not h. So I broke the old one. All right. There we go. So now if I run bin network tests, we get one passing test. Now, so what I want to do in the makefile, let's first get everything closed. So all four of those tests build vim make. Okay, I want to collect. I need to collect the files and substitute the extensions basically. So let's find the test target. That's here. The test target is going to depend on the source code of everything in source as well as everything in test as well as the makefile. That makes complete sense. But what I'm going to need is I'm going to need a var that is like the test targets. And what they're going to equal is just the, well, it's the same as what I have in the thing. So it's the wildcard of test C files. Each of those is going to get turned into a I need a pattern substitute just to remove the .c, and that gives me test sources. Let's do that. And then the test targets. Is going to be the pattern substitution of those. So, oops, helps if I type it right. So makefile, pat substitution. Do we have a decent example here? For example, oh yeah, nice and easy, right? What's pattern equals replacement? The second shorthand simplifies one of the most common use of pat subs, replacing the suffix at the end of a file name. So, we are going to do that was not quite complete, so it's pattern second shorthand is equivalent to pat sum so I understand there's a debug thing, how to print out a make. Is this supposed to be like that? Make tests. I'm going to have to find an actual example because so if I so we're picking up test sources is empty. Why? Oh, that would be why. So test sources is all of those files. Test bins is not correct. still not correct. Okay, so let's just ask the question directly to the internet. Make file, file, extension, substitute. How to change extension file in a list. So it's colon equal x files in dot. Oh, so okay. So it's just literally dot c. Right. Oh, but I don't even need the quotes because I'm actually getting them. So. So can I do more complex? Can I say test slash that is just that? No, that didn't do what I was trying to do. This will be, I think that slurps everything, right? Oh, that did do what I wanted to do. Okay, I understand now. So that gives me my bins, but what I really want then is bin slash, right? So it converts my test.c into config tests. Yeah, right, that's what I want. So config.c tests, or config test c is converted into just bin config tests. Exactly what I want. And so now what I want to do is, this can be, so these are the dependencies. I can just leave those because it's simple. And so obviously I can get okay, I'm thinking this through. I want to run the command for each file in the dependency list, but not for so I don't even know if this makes sense, but if I think of this as a series of commands to run on that dependency list, can I short circuit the running? So basically what I'm saying is make in a makefile, how do I execute a command on each file in a variable name? Blah, 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 blah. So to do it in the target, really. So here, Okay, so here, oh, it might even be simpler than I think. No. See, I have this problem where I want the source files to also be dependencies. So it's not literally only these files. I need to... I could... I mean, I could... Obviously, I can brute force it. I can just put the damn file names in there. But how do I... I think I have to break it up into 2 levels. In other words... Well, okay, so let's do this. For the time being, I will ignore that the source files and that the make file is a dependencies that I want to trigger, to trigger the rebuild. So what I would end up with is looking at this example could be as simple as test C ends up being bin not using those, and so then the target ends up being just that, and then you need to define executable like no, is this even answering the question I want? How do I make it? How do I execute a command on each file name in the variable? It's usually easier to do it with implicit rules. That kind of makes sense because and so the implicit rule here, is just saying, hey, if I have a test over there, I need the equivalent bin over there. When I go to do this, then this should be, I believe that this is going to end up, when it's run, then it's done per file. And the only thing I have going on here is the one source file. Okay, we're going to comment out a lot of stuff. So that is the first target in the make file. That is, and in fact, I am going to just literally comment everything else out. So if I run that, no targets. Wildcard test C. But I think what that does is it gives me again no targets is that's not my problem. My problem is So GCC out bin config tests will build if I say test config tests does just fine for the time being. So let's not actually run that. Let's do info it seems, oh, it probably just has to do with the fact that I'm writing an implicit rule for a C file, and that already has implicit rules or something. That is not the way I... Well, I certainly could do a file each, or I mean a file. So, okay, here's a command I can run to do it. If I just think outside of the makefile for the time being, I can simply do file test iname. Except for that it has to be why did that not? Is it find? Yeah. Because I used file instead of find. But that finds all of my and then I can exec that and say, I forget how to do, so it's going to be GCC, it's going to be CC O. So let's get just the base name. O. Let's figure out the pieces first. Exec base name. I think there's supposed to be a backslash in there or something like that. Linux find exec. Doop, doop. That was close. The only difference is okay. So if I exec that and I do gcc-o so find blah 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 So instead of all of that, let's why did base name so base name worked. Oh, what's going on? That's what's going on. So base name worked right there. So it actually tries to execute base name when I do that. That's not what I want. I just want, I'm going to cheat in a second. So I do it as a bash loop. I don't have a good answer. I'm going to brute force it in the absolute worst way. And research this a different time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a phony target called tests. It's going to depend on the same things. Is it really phony when it has dependencies? I'm going to have a target called tests. It's going to have the dependencies of wildcard. Do I even need to write it that way? Since it's so simple, I can. I should be able to write it as source % and test % and makefile. And that gives me all of my dependencies, but then as actual commands, I'm just going to brute force it for the moment and say gcc-o config bin, so bin config tests is built from test. I mean, I absolutely can do this in make. It's escaping me at the moment. So config tests. Maybe that doesn't work the way I think it does. So wildcard source. Wildcard test. Except for I just want C files. Cannot find tree. So when in doubt, brute force it, fix it later. Network as the subtitle on this channel should be how to how to fail and move on. So what am I missing? I got game. So I got config test, state test, network test, game test. Config test, state test, network test, game test. So if I make that right now, so that I'm gonna make that a phony target. I am going to just get rid of that experiment. I am going to get rid of that experiment. All of that just comes back. All of that just comes back. There are much more elegant ways to do that, but if I make tests now, right, it's doing it every time. So make tests, oops. And it's because it's marked phony, I'm betting. No, it's because, yeah, I mean, it's essentially because it's phony, right? I do not like this solution, but what I wanted is then to have another phony test, make test. Well, actually, I can do this. The goal here then was just to run all the tests, right? Just put it in the same order. So I should be able to say make, oh, let's do this. This is going to depend on tests. So, right. I mean, that's effectively where I wanted to go with this. The problem is that I just made, did it in the most ugly way imaginable. And I'm actually going to leave it that way. Maybe I'll pick this up in the next video. Maybe I'll move on. Not sure what I'm going to do. It clearly has to be cleaned up, and oops. What I'm going to do here is add it to the to-do list. So I kind of want to solve the problem. I mean, it shouldn't have stumped me, but it did. So okay. Oh, let's add it to the to-do. I'm just going to write it as, I will know what that means. I am the only person that matters in this context. So, okay, that was probably a really boring video. I kind of apologize. I was getting lost in which probably should have been a really simple thing to solve. I'm not 100% sure if I'll pick that up exactly. It does what I want at the moment. We'll see what I don't know where I'm going to go next. We'll see in the next video, so see you there.